welcome back to the Tech Zone. I am Paul Amadeus Lane. So glad that you decided to stay with me on the mighty KMET 1490 ABC News Radio, on live stream, on YouTube, on Stitcher, on TuneIn, on SoundCloud, on PaulAmadeusLane.com. All the great things, the great format. Thank you guys so much for making the show a success. I cannot do it without you, without the great guest, and without the support of all my friends out there. Thank you. I thank you. I thank you. Have you ever ran out of gas on the road? Really, have you ever did that? I'm going to share that story later on in the show of how I ran out of gas when I was courting. Now, for some of you Gen Xers out there and millennials, courting means dating. When I was dating my now wife, and I ran out of gas. She used to always get on my case about it. I'm going to tell that story later on. But what if I told you out there that technology has now evolved into a place where it makes it easier to get gas? Would you be interested in that? And this may be coming to you sooner than you think. Let's check it out.
We all lead busy lives, running to and from appointments and trying to balance time between work and family. We all rely on our cars to get us to where we need to be. But something always gets in the way: the gas station. Just imagine, you're working all day, you have that lunch meeting across town at noon, and then you have to take your kids to soccer practice as soon as you're done with work. And you just realize that you only have a few miles before you run out of gas. Bummer, right? And even if you had time, let's be honest, nobody really enjoys going to the gas station. At Filled, we believe you shouldn't have to. That's why we bring the gas to you. Simply open the app, let us know where your car is parked, and then get on with the rest of your day. When you get back to your car, your tank will be full, and you can get to where you need to be. Filled securely stores your payment and vehicle information, so you don't have to track down a credit card. And with Filled, you can save money. Just pay the average price of gas in your area, plus a small delivery fee. Filled lets you get back to what's important, instead of wasting time at the gas station. Tap a button, get a tank of gas. It really is that simple. So get Filled, and spend more time doing the things you love.
And joining me right now to talk about that magnificent video we just watched about how technology allows us now to make sure that we have the gas tank filled, we have Michael Burr, President and CEO of Filled. Michael, how are you doing today, my friend?
Paul, I'm doing great today. Thank you.
Great to have you. And Michael, what made you guys want to tackle something like this? I think it's amazing, for anybody who is on the road a lot and especially myself, who forgets to go fill the tank up from time to time. Was it something that you and the founders experienced personally and said, we need to fill that need?
Well, listen, let me tell you about my personal story about it, and it leads into kind of how the founders started the company, which is I joined Filled about a year ago, and I discovered Filled actually as a consumer, and it fulfilled the need that I had, which is I was commuting a fair distance from where I live down in Los Altos, California, up to San Francisco every single day. And every day I would have to go look for, every week I would have to go look for a place to go get gas. And it was always at the most inopportune times, and something I regretted. And Filled was advertising on Waze, and I was like, oh my gosh, this sounds like a great idea. You need gas, we can deliver it to you mobily. And so I tried them out, and I was instantly hooked. It was like this magical feeling where overnight somebody came and filled up my gas tank, and when I came in the morning, my car was immediately full, and I drove off, and I was off to work. And I became a customer instantly and was with Filled for about a month. And then it was just through fortuitous circumstances that Filled was also looking for a CEO that I met up with the two founders, Chris and Scott. And we came to just an agreement and sort of the equivalent of just a meeting of minds. This was the right thing for the three of us to join together and help grow the company. And they had a very similar vision when they started the company, which was, and actually they had this view, which was, hey, listen, you know what? Air Force One can fuel in midair. Why can't, when you're driving along the I-5, why couldn't you get filled up immediately? And it's actually one of the founders' wives that came up with that idea while they were driving down to LA. And it didn't turn out that that was the right idea to go after, but it was the spark for the idea about, well, why couldn't you get filled up for gas before you left or when you got there? And that's where it all started, which was it was going after a problem that we all have, which is we all have to go to the gas station, and it's always inconvenient.
And Michael, as you relate that story to us, I think all of the husbands are thinking about, when our wives go in the car and drive and let's say that we used the car before them and we didn't fill up. Yeah. So I definitely know that conversation right there. But Michael, looking at again you being the president and CEO, it's kind of like one of those stories where it's like wow, by you being a consumer checking it out and you having the background and the credentials and how everything got married together. What kind of expertise did you bring to the company that it was kind of like, I don't want to say lacking, but what it needed to succeed and fulfill its purpose?
Listen, the company had all of the basics in place to really scale as a business. And really what I was here to do was to help ensure that some of the key components that as you grow a business are in place. Some of the hardest parts when you're building a business are to make sure that you are addressing a key fundamental customer need, and you're doing it in a manner that, in our particular case, meets the consumer's safety needs, right? Or meets the state's regulatory needs. And the beautiful thing is the founders had already figured that out. They'd already really been extremely thoughtful about what do the consumers really want and how do we do that in a way that is both regulatory compliant and that addresses the safety needs. And then for me, it was really just about ensuring that, okay, how do we now map out a plan for the next 6 months, 1 year, 3 years in terms of both financing for the company so that we can meet the milestones for each one of those milestones that we've mapped out, and then grow, right? Who are the people that we need? Who are the best people that we can bring on board to help us grow? All of that, right? And that's really fundamentally that I'm here to help with, which is really just to help manage the spark that exists within inside of the company.
And Michael, share with us what you did before you joined the field team, because I think that really holds just this just kind of like the key of why you were a perfect fit for this company right here, if you don't mind.
Sure. So previous to this, I ran a company called Zerv. So Zerv was in the activities space, which is whale watching in San Francisco or a New York City bus tour of all of the great soprano places. And we were a software platform that would help not only the small businesses be able to run their activities on, but then also for consumers to go buy from. And we kind of grew that from a $20 million business to a $80, $90 million business over the period of 4 years. And that's really about scaling the team as well, which is how do you look for the right individuals? How do you think about customer service? How do you think about your technology platform? How do you think about your product team and how do you need to invest in your product team? And all of those kinds of skilled learnings are really, really important. The other key piece that was very important here that I learned from my experience at Zerv that is sort of 10 times as applicable here at Field is the mobility side, which is at Zerv, the majority of consumers looked at all of the activities they were taking on mobile For Filled, it's really 100%, right? Where all of the experience that consumers have and what they experience around Filled is mobile, which is it's such a very simple app to experience. To really just you open up the app, you see the transparency of the price that is the 3 nearest gas stations around you. We show you the cheapest one, right? Because what we charge you as the price is the cheapest of the 3 nearest gas stations to you. Then you choose your car's location, the scheduled window that you want. Do you want 9 p.m. to 4 a.m.? Do you want 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. today. So we give you, basically a selection of windows, and you can choose, 7 days a week. You can choose roughly 24 hours a day. We don't have our drivers drive during rush hour, which is important to us because we manage our drivers' traffic patterns. But what we want to do is give the consumer the flexibility of choice. What windows of scheduled availability are appropriate for them. And then literally once you've placed that order, we give you sort of the equivalent of a bill that you confirm, and that's it. Then as you move through, coming into your order, we notify you that we're coming, we notify you that we're there, we tell you to open up your gas flap. After the order's been dispensed, we send you all of the detailed receipt about the type of gas that we filled, because we give you the choice of you could choose a premium, you could choose a regular, and all of that. Again, the pricing for that is very transparent, and it is all about the consumer having flexibility about time and flexibility of price, and then they can go about their day, and they do not have to be there when the driver shows up to fill their car. And they could choose to do it at work, or they could choose to do it at home. The other thing that, when we talk about what we do, we really look at it, which is there are 3 things: safety, convenience, and price. And the safety part is so important to us because without safety, we don't have a business. And safety is about, Paul, for you, it's about trusting that this truck that, quite frankly, doesn't look like what people think a fuel truck looks like, right? People think it's a big tanker truck. Yeah. Think of it as a Chevy Silverado or a Ford F-250 pickup truck. That's what they are. They are small pickup trucks with gas tanks on the back that are Department of Transport certified. They are Weights and Measures certified. Our drivers are Filled employees. They're commercial rated drivers. They have a commercial driver's license. They are hazmat trained by us, by firefighters that we hire to train. There's fire suppression equipment on the vehicles. There is spill containment on the vehicles. Everything designed to make sure that if there was an incident, which we've never had, that we know what to do and we can contain it. And we want to make sure that the consumer, the customer, feels super safe with what we're doing. And that's really important to us. And then the convenience and the price, we do that in the app. We give you the windows to choose from, and we give you options and price.
And that's really fascinating because if you've been listening on the radio right now, you weren't able to see some of the images that we've shown about this in action, but remember, you can always check it out on our video feed and live stream, and also YouTube. And Michael, that's one of the things that as I'm hearing our discussion right now, that the company has taken a lot of time to really kind of work out the bugs, so to speak. When it comes to putting this kind of innovation out there, the technology that exists today, Michael, how has that helped the company in its vision? Just the technology with the analytical data that we can gather. The ones who are using different programs that allow you to kind of gather this data and say, okay, let's go ahead and go this way or that way. Talk about that technology.
Sure. There's a couple of things, and I'll start with one is actually the connected car. And And for your audience, the connected car is really just an acronym for all of the cars that are coming off the market now that have basically access to the internet, right? They're access to the cloud, and they typically have data storage that stores information about the car in the cloud somewhere. And it's highly secure. And we've done a couple of both confidential partnerships as well as public partnerships with companies around that. So public partnerships we have are people like Bentley and Volvo, where we do things with connected cars that I'll describe right now, which is the car is basically ordering gas for themselves. And it's really about the data that you're talking about and the analytics that you're talking about that exist, which is the cars actually end up ordering gas for themselves. They're smart enough to do so, but with constraints that the consumer would put on the car, which is, you know what, don't let my car get below a half a tank of gas. Don't let my car get below a quarter of a tank. Only when my car is below a half a tank, fill it at home or fill it at work. So give it and don't fill me on weekends or don't fill me during the week. So put some constraints around it, put some volume constraints around it. And since the car knows the gas volume and it knows the location, because the car knows both of those things, and it can pump that to its cloud, and it's highly secured, and we have a relationship with that partner, then we can, through a secured mechanism, just get access to that data and that data element, because that's all we need is where is the car and what's the gas level. Then we can know whether during our automated routes, so that's the other part of the technology that also exists, is our scheduling for our routes, for our drivers, are all real time on a daily basis, which is there is no pre-programmed route. Our routes are scheduled per driver every single day as a new route because it depends on the consumers for the day. It depends on the commercial customers for the day, fuel levels, fuel types, connected cars, and what information we're getting from them. And we read all of that information, and then we route our drivers. And so there's a couple of really simple core components to that. There's the connected car, and the latest stats on connected car is by next year, literally 80% of all cars off the market will be connected cars.
Yes.
Right. And you and I were talking about this actually just before the show. It's a blessing in one sense, because I think it's a very valuable thing.
Absolutely.
Because in the end, it's about taking a consumer burden. Like, no one wants to go to the gas station, right? It's a pain in the neck. And you have to go. Consumers on average go to the gas station every 7 to 8 days. And you have to go. And regardless of what the weather is, regardless of whether the gas station is dirty or not, or whether you find it convenient, or whether you're scared about the place you're going, you got to go because you need gas, right? It's wonderful that the car is in a state that it can actually order that for you and take that concern and that stress out of your life and order on your behalf. That's a very positive thing.
It is.
And I think for us, that's what we want to do.
Absolutely. And Gary, tell you a little funny story right quick. I was young, late teens, early 20s, and I was picking up my girlfriend at the time, who's my wife now, and I would always have less than like a quarter of a tank of gas, and then we would always fight, and she would say, "Hey, why don't you fill your tank up?" "Oh, no, I got it under control." And one day I ran out of gas with her, and we had to push it to the gas station. So in behalf of all the men out there who do that, thank you guys for building this. And for some of you who maybe just be tuning in and hearing the discussion with me and Michael right now, talking about this innovation. Michael mentioned Bentley and Volvo, and I know maybe immediately your ear shut off, like, well, I don't have that kind of car. Well, Michael explained that this is out there for everyone out there, so don't be scared. This is out there. Michael just talking about the partnerships, and I think this is amazing. And Michael, as we look at what the company has done in the last 2 years, I was looking online about the funding that was raised. It really shows that a lot of investors are like, yeah, I'm down with this. This is something that we can really get behind. That has to make you as a CEO and president feel kind of good, knowing that the ones out there are down with the vision and want to see it succeed.
It is I think the funding markets are always willing to get behind people, companies, founders for that matter, who are pushing innovation in new and interesting markets. I think one of the most intriguing things about Phil and what the founders have done at this company is create a really new approach to a really big customer problem in a very old market, right? The fuel industry and the retail fuel business has been around for a century. People have been going to the gas stations for over 100 years. And that's built into all of our psyche about what you do. And your story about running out of gas is a classic one, is because you're trying to push it to the very limit of, I really just don't want to go. It's a pain in the neck. And you're pushing it to the point where it's actually pushing it to the point where now I'm willing to push my car to the gas station, right?
Yeah.
And so my point is that you're right, is right now what we try to prove for our company is that we're doing a couple things. One is we have a very innovative approach to this very old but very large market. Two is we're actually approaching it as a real business, right? Because you definitely know this as well, which is
Absolutely.
There's technology for technology's sake, and then there's technology that you use to innovate around to create a business. And we're definitely creating a business. And then do you have the right people in place? And I think with what we have here, we've got an incredible team at Field. And that's a beautiful thing as a CEO to really have behind you, which is an incredible team that you can really count on to really execute against what you need to make the vision of the company happen.
And Michael, what was, I guess, one of the most fascinating things that you were able to discover about customers when it comes to refueling and then the technology as it continues to evolve? Is there any habit that you were able to really uncover?
I think the most intriguing thing for me, Paul, was that people were they invited us so warmly into their lives, into their cars, to an extent we did not expect. I'll give you an example, which is, you may know this, which is one way consumer companies rate how they're doing with customers is through something called an NPS score. And we track our NPS score pretty frequently, and it's very important to us. And our NPS score is very high, and we just did it recently, and it's 76. That's higher
incredible.
than Apple's. And that's crazy. And really what it's about is it's because we're removing such a high stress point in their lives. Mm-hmm. And we didn't think about it as that high of a stress point. And what's come with that is an invitation to do other things. And so what consumers are asking us is to actually do more. So we're getting an invitation to, hey, while you're at the car, could you check our tires? Could you wash our windshields? Could you check our oil? Could you, look around my car? Are there dents? And so we're looking at part of our business, and it's always been part of our strategy, is, hey, what about 360-degree car care for us? Which is, as we grow on our business, it's not just about fuel. It's about much bigger part of how can we help you better take care of your car? And that's been just I think a really incredible warm welcome by consumers to allow us to do that, right? Yeah. And that's great.
And I'll tell you this too, my community of the disabled community, as I'm hearing things, Michael, it's like, this can help my community out so much, because it's kind of hard, even though they have the little insignia there at the gas station, say, hey, if someone is available, they'll help you pump your gas. This kind of takes the guesswork out of the situation, and as we speak, my wheels are turning like never before. Just the how much this can expand even into my community out there as well too. So my hat goes off to you guys that you guys are definitely doing that.
I think that one of the things, Paul, that I was just commending you on in your story before we started. I think it's an incredible story, and you're right. Like, I think the biggest challenge for us as a business right now is we need to get to scale faster, i.e. we need to be in more cities faster so that we can provide services to people who, yes, there's stress in life and people need to do it, but then there are people who really do need it, right? Like it's really removing a critical barrier versus removing a stress barrier. That would be a phenomenal thing for us to be able to help with.
And I'm glad you brought that up too. Now, what are some of the new platform updates that we have to look forward to? And we know right now it's just in a limited area. So what's the growth look like going on? Because I know you guys not only want to take this to the locally where you guys are at, but you guys want to take this worldwide and even throughout the United States. So where are we at with that growth?
So to be clear, we are right now in the Bay Area. And Bay Area being from San Jose up to San Francisco. We are expanding in other metros, just not publicly yet. And so we are right now in another city with another partner, but that's not public yet. And we will be expanding into actually 2 other metros in the next 60 days. So metros being
nice.
Other cities. But literally, Paul, in probably 60 days, maybe it's 30 days, I'll be able to publicly tell you who those are.
Awesome.
But you will literally be able to see Filled across the U.S. by the end of the year.
Awesome.
That's our goal. That's what we want to do. And we want to be down in your neck of the woods probably in the next 6 months at the latest.
That sounds good, because all my Silicon Valley followers up there, make sure you connect with them and get this service. And not only that, Michael, please, as you guys begin to launch certain things, come back on. We'll have you on. We'll talk about what you're launching next, so we can do this rollout. We can blow it up big, and we can have some fun. And
love to.
And I think this is awesome in what you guys are doing. And I would be remiss if I didn't ask you a question about whale watching San Francisco. When ones are whale watching up there, do they ever say, "Where's George and Gracie?" Right? From Star Trek 4.
Yeah.
Do they ever ask about that?
They do. And the funny thing is those places aren't even connected, right? That they don't, in the Star Trek, in that picture, it's San Francisco and Monterey Bay Aquarium, and those things are not even in the same geographic place.
I love it, because we were talking about it. I'm asking a George and Gracie question. That's what I'm going to do. So Michael, how can ones find out more information about Filled and follow you guys and follow the updates? How can they do that, my friend?
Best place to go is to go to Filled.com. And that's FILLD, so no E in there, FILLD.com, or check us out on the App Store or on Google Play, and check us out. Just search on either of those platforms for Filled, FILLD, and download us. It's super simple. The app is very intuitive, very easy to use, and you just get up and running and select a slot, and we'd be glad to come out and fill you.
Awesome. Michael Burr, President and CEO of Filled. It's been great talking to you. Love the discussion. Much success out there. I think you guys are really hitting a home run with this technology, and you take care of yourself, and then your beautiful family behind you and on your side, helping you fulfill this vision there. It has to be amazing, because it's always great to have a supportive family, doesn't it?
It is awesome, and really, thank you very much, Paul.
All right, my friend. Well, you have a great day, and we look forward to catching up with you soon down the line.
Will do.
Okay, I don't want to see any tweets about me running out of gas. That was a moment that Michael and I had. We thank Michael Burr for being with us, CEO and president of Filled. Are you guys looking forward to have that in your area? If you're in Silicon Valley, like I talked about before, you make sure you download that app and definitely check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Check up is what doctors do. Yeah, check it out. All right, this is the Tech Zone. I am Paul Amadeus Lane. Stay tuned. We'll be talking about some retro gaming with one of my greatest associates in geekdom that there is. I have two of them. She's up there pretty high. We'll be right back with more Tech Zone right after these messages.